Okay, welcome to today's lesson. We're going live again. We've got a common mistakes lesson today. So this is the 66th lesson that I've done on typical mistakes that people make when they're speaking English. All of these mistakes have been made in my class by students who I teach. So these were made in the last few days. Number 4 is particularly long because it came up in a written form. The student did an essay for me and I corrected one of the sentences in the essay. So let's start with number 1. I make lots of operations at the weekend. The problem with this sentence is the person who said this is actually a doctor, hence why he's doing these. But you may have just heard me say hence why he's doing these and not making these, and that's because he works as a doctor. And if you work as a doctor, operations are your work. They're something that you do. When students ask me what's the difference between do and make, I tell them that do is for work, tasks, duties, errands, things that you have to do. So a pupil has to study. He has to do his homework. He has to do the exercise. He has to do the test. Housework that you do in your house. You have to do the ironing. You have to do the cleaning. You have to do the cooking. There is an exception, make the bed. But make is about creating something new. Making is creating, which is why we say make dinner, make lunch, make breakfast, and I think it's a good reason why we say make the bed, because you're actually creating the bed so that it looks nice. So generally speaking, you can follow that rule to decide whether to use do or whether to use make. Use do for any kind of work, anything related to work. Do a project, do an exam, do a report, do anything, any kind of thing which you're doing for work, please use do, but use make when you're creating something new. And there are lots of collocations with make, like make a suggestion, make a mistake. And here, well, really you're creating something as well, I would argue. It's something new anyway. It's not something that you do because it's your job. Nobody makes mistakes because it's their job. It never happens. So there is a very big difference between the two. Okay, number 2, most of the time I work like a specialist. Now, the observant listeners among you will have noticed that I just said he works as a doctor. So please remember that the preposition which goes with work when you're talking about the jobs people do, we say he works as a teacher, she works as a policewoman. Okay, so please remember, work as, not work like. I did do a lesson recently on like and as, and just to repeat, because repetition is always good if we're studying any subject, you need to repeat, 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 repeat. Like is very often plus noun, and as, and also it means, let's just say like is very often plus noun, and you often see it with looks like, sounds like, tastes like. That's acceptable. And as is plus a clause, okay? If you see like as a clause, and you will hear it, people do use like in spoken English plus a clause, but technically it's not considered very correct English. And if you have like plus a clause, normally you should change it for as if. Yeah, if you say something like, I went to the park at the weekend like I did as a boy, yeah, like I did when I was a boy. I would say as I did when I was a boy there, not as if actually, just as I did when I was a boy. But if you say you look like you've seen a ghost, you could say you look as if you have seen a ghost. It actually sounds better. It's more... it's more correct because like is a preposition, so it should only be plus noun. As is plus a clause. Okay, number 3, a student said he died in a very young age. Unfortunately, we use at for ages. Yeah, at 3 years old, he could play the piano, something like that. At 7 years old, he spoke 20 languages. He died at a very young age. For ages, please. And so he died at a very young age. Number 4, Watson was, let's get that out of the way. Watson was happy seeing him sleep, as she warned him a day earlier that sleep deprivation might have caused a relapse. Now, the student was describing a TV show, which I do with a lot of students, and I've got lots of different TV shows, not only Sherlock, but Sherlock is one of the hardest ones, and so a lot of students choose Sherlock because it's very rich in vocabulary and grammar. Now, the first problem is here, this could be accepted in some, because this could be a participle, seeing him sleep. But I don't like it. I normally tell students after adjectives, please use a gerund. After adjectives, please use to plus infinitive. And it does sound better if we change it to that in this sentence. Watson was happy to see him sleep, as she had warned him. You need a had here, really do, because it's one day earlier. It's one day earlier, so it's before she was happy. It's before the past simple part of the sentence, so we really do need, as she had warned him a day earlier, that sleep deprivation might have caused a relapse. Now, the students tried to use a perfect modal here, thinking perhaps that it's in the past. However, we don't actually need a perfect modal here, and it will sound much better if we just use might cause. Yeah, might cause. Let's make that really clear and write it again. Might cause a relapse. And it's because first you get the sleep deprivation and then you get the relapse. The relapse here, it means Sherlock going back to the drugs because he's a drug addict in this particular TV show. And Watson thought that sleep deprivation, a lack of sleep, not enough sleep, might make him go back to the drugs. It might cause a relapse. Not might have caused, because if you say might have caused, it means first you get the relapse and then you get the sleep deprivation, which is not what the student wanted to say, and not what Watson wanted to say. Watson's warning was the following. It was, if you don't get enough sleep, you might have a relapse. This might cause a relapse. Okay, so we've got to keep it the same, might cause, even though we've got the past perfect here, which moves the warning back in time before happy. We don't need perfect again just because of that. The perfect would only be if it was before the sleep deprivation. So I hope that part's clear. Number 5. He didn't want to spend his time for learning this subject. This is an easy one to fix because we just do this. Remember that it's spend time doing. Okay, spend is a gerund verb in the sense that it's spend time doing. No preposition, no to do, spend time to do. That's wrong as well. I hear that mistake also very often. And in fact, in the last week, I know that one student certainly made that mistake. But spend his time learning would be the correct way of saying this. And number 6, everything has been changed years ago. Signal words are so useful because they make correcting this sentence much easier. Ago is past simple, okay? It's always past simple. It's always finished ago, and for that reason, it can't be present perfect. So you really need to change this present perfect passive to past simple passive. Was changed, okay? That's still passive, but it's past simple passive. Number 7, such countries like German have a large population. Well, German is the adjective, it's not the noun. It can be a noun if it's a German, then a German meaning a German man, yes, that is a noun, that's acceptable, but that's not what we mean here. We mean the country, so we need to say such countries, Germany, but we say such countries as, and not such countries like. Such as means for example, okay? If we're talking about like and as, again, such as means for example, whereas like is used in conversational English, informal English to mean for example. Yes, we do use it in conversation very often to mean for example. Okay, number 8. When she will go to work, she will get paid. Really common mistake, this one. And I think people can see it's a mistake much clearer if we change when for if. And both are possible. We can say when, we can say if, we can say as soon as, before, unless, until, in case. There are a lot of conditional conjunctions, first conditional conjunctions. Learn them and then you won't make this mistake. When she goes to work, got to change it to goes as well. Not will. No will in this subordinate clause, please. If you start a first conditional sentence, only put will here. Don't put will here. Okay? So we say, when I am 67, I will retire. Yeah, we don't say when I will be. We say when I am. And the same with any other subordinate when clause, which is actually being used like first conditional. Okay, number 9. I take 1 hour for drive to the office. No. It would be 1 hour to drive to the office, not for drive. To drive, to plus infinitive. For plus noun, to plus verb. I often say that as well. And really, you should say, it takes me 1 hour to drive to the office. It takes me, okay? So these common mistakes are just mistakes people have made in the last week. And if anybody has any more questions, please write them now because I'm about to go. And if you get it there before I go, then I'll try and answer it. So please start typing if you have any questions. Number 10, I was thinking to have 2 classes per week. The problem here is the verb think. If you are thinking about something or of something, then we don't use to. We never use to after think. It's got to be, I was thinking about having 2 classes per week. And I think we can say of here as well. I've certainly said it before. I'm pretty sure when I checked Oxford about this, because I did check, you can say thinking of having 2 classes per week or thinking about having 2 classes per week. There is a difference though between think of and think about. Think of is used for opinion and think about is used for plans. And so here you might say, well, it's a plan. I was thinking about having 2 classes per week, but I'm pretty sure that of is also possible. But when we use think of, if you say, what do you think of my new shoes? It means, what's your opinion of my new shoes? What do you think of my new office? What do you think of the new boss? That means, what's your opinion of him? Don't use about if you're talking about opinion. Okay, but if you're talking about plans, I'm thinking of going on holiday this week, I'm thinking about going on holiday this week, both of them sound correct to me. But if you're talking about opinion, just think of, please. So that's all I've got for you today. Let's see, that would be me. Is it correct if I speak about the past? That would be me is, you know, yeah, it's perfectly correct for somebody to say, is Dimitri here? And you say, that would be me. That's perfectly correct. And is it the past? Well, no, it's not the past. You're more saying, it's more like subjunctive. You're saying, yeah, that if you are asking, yeah, that would be me. So perhaps subjunctive isn't the best word to use there, but it's very similar to saying, that is I, that is me, that would be me. You're saying that is me. That's what it means. When somebody says, is Dimitri here? You know, who is Dimitri? That would be me. That means that is me. It is I. I am Dimitri. Okay? But that's a good question, because I agree that's quite a strange sentence, that would be me, or quite a strange, but very common, very, very common, if somebody's asking you, oh, sorry, it's Dennis, not Dimitri. Sorry, Dennis. How do you use would? That's a big question. How do you use would? In many different ways. Many different ways. You use it in second conditional. You use it in third conditional. You use it for future in the past. Yeah, if you're putting will into reported speech, it goes to would. So we also use would like that. We also use would like used to. So there's at least 4 different ways we use would. Second and third conditional. Used to, yeah, when I was a boy, I would play football in the park, we would have barbecues in the forest, we would visit our relatives, but we also use it for future in the past. Yeah, if I say, I will come tomorrow. You need to say, Dave told me that he would come tomorrow. You change will to would in reported speech. So that's another way we use would. So it's a good question, but yeah, at least 4 different ways. Probably more, probably some I haven't thought of, but at least second, third conditional, future in the past, and for past states. What's the difference between will and would? Well, I mean, will is for future tense. Would is for the 4 things I just mentioned. We use get all the time. We use get in phrasal verbs. We use get meaning get. We use get meaning 1,000 other things as well. It's without doubt the most common verb in the English language. And yeah, we use it for so many different things. I couldn't possibly go through all the phrasal verbs with get. Just using get on its own, it has a number of different meanings. But yeah, the most common meaning is get, like take, like be given or take something or receive something. You can get emails, you can get letters, you can get presents, you know, you can get anything you like, but you can get bills. Unfortunately, we all get bills. So lots of different ways we can use get. But yeah, the difference between will and would is massive. Will is future, would is future in the past or conditionals. Will is for first conditional, would is for second conditional and third conditional. But will is for the general future, would is for future in the past. Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll leave it there. Thanks everybody for watching, and I hope this has been useful for you. I hope it stops you making at least some mistakes in English, and I hope to see you all soon. Yep, that's correct. Well done, whoever's put that. Well done, Hai Du Rong. That's absolutely correct. Bye-bye.